Now to get started, let me introduce you to today's speaker from ELB Learning, Josh Penzel. Josh is a strategic AI consultant with over 15 years of experience in sales enablement, process improvement, global strategy, and organizational innovation. He has pioneered the theater think methodology, drawing from his background in theater to create novel learning experiences that have had profound impacts on businesses like Zillow, Amazon, and Skillsoft. With his unique vision and proven results, Josh has led initiatives that reduced training resources by 50%, increased revenue by 15% in 6 months, and enabled 1,000% growth in the Amazon Alexa business. A passionate believer in passion transfer and delivering ROI rather than content, Josh's approach embodies the future of learning and talent development. Josh, we are super excited to have you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. How do I follow that? That was yeah, I don't remember writing all of that good stuff about myself. So hello everyone. Josh here. I am in Seattle, Washington, and I'm amazed. We have 175 people so far and growing. Pretty incredible group. If you would, just to give me some love here, and so I don't feel like I'm so alone, can I get some of those emojis or some chat window stuff, whatever you want to throw out there to just say hello. Yeah, there we go, Jing. I love it. Thank you. All right. And because I am a theater person and I love metaphors, I'm going to ask y'all a question. If you were a robot that could describe how you're feeling right now, how you're doing right now, right? Explains your mood. Tell me what that robot would look like and why, and just throw it into the chat. And the reason I'm doing this is we're going to be dealing with AI. We're going to be dealing with all sorts of stuff. So tell me what your robot would look like. And it should be describing how you're feeling right now. I think mine would be Terminator. All right, Donna. Octopus with many hands, a peacock robot. That's awesome. A large cup of coffee robot. The Tesseract. Thank you, Forrest. Love that reference. A vibrant red robot. Robot would look like a squashed pancake. I love this. And just notice, by the way, how we're able to sort of, by seeing all these different things, and they mean different things to different people. And what's interesting is with AI, right? Just like I'm going to be walking through and actually working on mostly ChatGPT today to show you some of the stuff we can do with this. But I want you to remember that in the end, this is like the most brilliant human partner or instructional, junior designer you've ever worked with, and it has no context, right? So it's like the most intelligent, most amazing baby in the world. And so sometimes we have to provide some sort of context around it, and we have to sort of figure out how we're going to work with it. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to bring up my slide, which I promise will only be a few minutes of slides, because we're going to be working a lot in Chrome, or I'm going to be on Chrome working in ChatGPT. So let me go ahead and I'm going to stop Avery sharing. I'm going to share my screen. Here you see that beautiful ELB logo, I hope. And yeah, do we see it? Was that that there? Oh, all right. It looks like we got a bit of thing. All right, let me reshare. Oh, you know what? Can't even figure out how to do it. Okay, there we go. From the top. Start again. All right. So putting the AI in training, 10 ways to leverage AI and boost your content development efficiency. Here, I want to start with some questions, because this is not only going to help me understand where y'all are coming from, this is going to help me create a few things in the moment with y'all. So first of all, have you used AI to help you with your job? Simple yes or no answer. You have a 50-50 shot at getting this one right. So I hope you guys are throwing out there, all 202 of you. Some of y'all have your hands raised, which I'm assuming just means you were trying to look for some sort of emoji or thumbs up or something for me to let me feel good. So have you used AI to help you with your job? And you can be honest here. No one's, your bosses aren't here. Your company's not here to watch you, I hope. I just want to know, have you used AI to help you with your job in any way, shape, or form? All right, we got some results coming in here. All right, so this is like what we're seeing most of the time, right? Have you used AI to help you with your job? Yes, 70% of you, and no, 30% of you haven't. right? And we can talk about why that is. But notice, I just want you to think about if 70% of the people are using AI today, right? Think about what it's going to happen when the organizations all catch up. And our job as L&D professionals is to make sure we're ahead of that curve. So let's go to the next question here, which is, how would you rate your AI level experience? 70% of you have used it. So I would assume, or for your jobs, some 30% haven't used it for your jobs. You might be using it to do creative stuff like I do, write songs, write musicals, write books, get parenting advice, all of that stuff. So how would you rate your AI level of experience? And I realize these are pretty binary. So, right, beginner, intermediate, advanced. That doesn't really allow much gray zone in there. So if you need, just throw it someplace in there. And let's see what we got. All right, most of you are beginners, 75%, 6% advanced, 19% intermediate. I am hoping for the beginners you walk out of here thinking, wow, I can start immediately. And I hope you have at least 10 tangible things that you could do as soon as you leave this room, because we're going to do 10 things in the 1 hour we're here, or maybe the 50 minutes we have left. If you're intermediate and you've been using this, I want you to be able to up level where you are right now. And if you're advanced, which is 6% of you, I'm hoping that you'll take a few things from this on how you can even improve what you're doing now, or how you can get something more out of what you're doing right now. So thanks for answering that one. I have one more for you. Does your company have an AI usage policy in place that prohibits people from using it? And let's say yes is like definitely yes, no, they don't, or we're working on it. That might mean like they're not allowed to use it now. We might be able to use it in the future. I'm not really sure. And, this is a big one we're hearing, and it's probably something on a lot of y'all's minds, which is, like, how do I balance the fact that I want to use it, but my company might not let me use it? And by the way, it's hard for me to watch the whole chat here. So appreciate that. All right. 13. This is like really awesome. 13% of you say, nope, not allowed to use it. Right. So you have a policy in place. 69% say there is no policy, which I'm guessing means either they haven't been clear on whether you're not allowed to use it. It's kind of fuzzy. And then 17%, we're working on it. We'll get there at some point. And what I just want to point out is there's no policy in place for 70% of you, and yet 70% of you are using this in work right now. And just think about that tension, okay? So thanks for doing this for me. It gives me some information, and I think it'll give us some data that we'll be able to use in the future. All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. I'm old school facilitator, and I always think it's important we start with our objectives, and then I'll come back on these and keep myself honest. So first of all, we are going to say 10 ways to use AI to help you optimize creating engaging learning content. So I don't just want it to be optimized. I want you to help you create. I want it to be engaging, and it needs to be something that helps us learn. The second one, and you will see this as we go through this, how do I create those smart AI prompts? How do I get the right results? By talking to AI in the way I need to. And we're going to do this in real time. Number 3 is which AI services align best with the L&D community. Most of what we're going to use today is ChatGPT. I'm going to be honest about that, because almost all the services out there work on the back end, right? They have GPT on the back end. So we're just going to go straight to the thing. I will show you some services that you might be using or might not be using, right? And these are really focused on the development part. So there are tools out there that can do voiceover and can do video and all these things. We're not going to focus so much on those because, frankly, you can go out, you can do a Google search or even use ChatGPT to get that information. What I want to focus on is how you can use it to change the way you think about training and change your process. Because we're using GPT, we're going to talk about how you can quickly author personalized learning. So learning that's not just personalized to your organization, but maybe even personalized to each single individual, each single learner. And then what to avoid when adding AI to your business process. What should I not do? All right, so those are the 5 things we're going to do. What I'm going to try to do here, and this is a very simple training process that might kind of follow Addie. It might differ from what you're doing. I'm going to try to touch each one of these things. I'm going to try to touch like how we can do intake and discovery with this thing, how we can get a training recommendation, how we get data and SME data, how we can like build some learner personas, how we can draft an outline, build assessments, how we can storyboard some stuff, how we can get feedback, and how we can deliver all of this. Like, can I actually have the AI deliver the training for me or deliver an assessment for me? So these are just some of the things we're going to go. It might not be in this order because I want to keep you guys interested, and some of these things are going to be more fun than others. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen real quickly. I see that everyone's talking into the chat, and I don't see anything that's crazy here that I need to respond to, but Avery's going to keep me honest, and if there is anything, I'm going to come up. And we're going to go straight into ChatGPT, which is where I want to start. So the first thing, I want to start with something fun. If you've been in the industry for a while, you've done sort of like, scenarios, branching scenarios, games, right? All of this stuff. And what I want to do real quickly is show you how AI can actually do all of the gaming for you, right? So I have a prompt here that I wrote out beforehand, so you don't have to see me working through it, although there will be times we'll do that. And I basically said, hey, we're going to, you need to, AI, create an empathetic customer service training, right? Where the company sells essential oils wholesale, something I made up, right? As soon as you receive the prompt, you're going to start playing this game. You're going to do a scenario. You're going to provide coaching throughout. And then what I want you to do at the end is summarize how they did. I want you to summarize all the discussions and put it into a PDF that we can download. Now, that's a lot of cool stuff, right? We're going to have it do. And I just want to show you, I'm going to press enter here. And by the way, I'm playing without a net, right? So none of this is necessarily done. And we're going to see what ChatGPT does. And look at this. With just that little bit of information, right? It's going to start saying, hey, here's some information that we can do. Now, one thing you'll notice already is it said, you are the customer, all right? And so what this might start doing is it might start showing, hey, here's what we're doing. All right. So let me think. Please respond as you would in this situation. So, hello, I placed an order for a bulk supply of essential oils. A couple weeks ago, supposed to arrive. I haven't received it yet. Getting worried because I have customers waiting. Can you help me? Let's see if I say something like, no, I can't help you. You're on your own, right? Obviously a terrible thing to say. Oh, and now it's stopping it, saying, hey, that was a little abrupt. Let's try a different approach. And then it's going to say, hey, here's maybe something you wanted to say. And now it's going to give me feedback. Now, the point here is not that this is perfect, right? Because it's not. But the point here is, wow, look how it's creating this branching scenario for you. And you didn't have to go and figure any of it out. And by the way, if I wanted to, I could start to tell the AI, tell GPT, how I want it to respond differently. So I'm actually going to say, hey, let's step out of role for a second. When you're doing this back and forth with me, I'd like you to not suggest an approach. Instead, just say I was wrong and try it again. Let's start from the beginning. And now it's probably going to restart the scenario. And now look, it's going back through this, and I just gave it some feedback. Now, obviously your user is not going to be wanting to do this, right? And you might want to put this into storyline. We'll talk about that later. But what I'm going to do is now I'm going to say, you know what? I loved what we did here, and I want to capture that. And this is one of like those, how do I create prompts things, is I'm going to say, hey, this looks great. And now I'm going to ask it to write a prompt for me. If I wanted you to act that way, instead of act that way, if I wanted you to do these scenarios and the back and forth that way from the beginning, how would I reword the original prompt I gave you? And now what it's going to do, I hope, is it's going to tell me how I could have modified my original prompt that I gave it. There we go. And it's writing it out for me. Now I can take this prompt, I can open up a new chat window, and I could do this thing again. And if I keep doing this over and over again, I'm going to have that major prompt that I can use. And eventually through APIs, through variables and storyline, I could integrate this into my training. So I just wanted to show you how quickly, and we're only 5 minutes in, we were able to create a scenario-based game. And I'm not going to go through it all here because it would take time. and it will at the end prepare and create a PDF document at the end. I think that's, I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. Now, by the way, because I keep talking about it, and of course, you're not going to want to go to GPT for all of this, right? You might want to create your own ways of doing this. Something we've done internally, because I came to ELB in order to help them optimize their process, is we've taken all of this and we've created our own sort of internal tool that we use. And so I've taken some of those master prompts that I've created and we've put them into these buttons, into a UX. And this is something you can do or you can get someone else to do. And so I'm not going to go into how we did it, but I just want to demonstrate how this, which is you creating prompts, you working through something, can be morphed into something like a UX, something you can do. All right, so I'm going to close that. Now I want to try something else. I have, some of you might get videos, or you might, maybe SMEs are recording themselves, or you had a big old presentation and now you need to turn it into an e-learning and you don't just want to paste it online, right? So here is a webinar we did about a few weeks ago, and it's about transforming your business into an augmented enterprise. It's super great. I recommend you look into it. By the way, if you reach out to us afterwards, we'll send you all the links, including all these prompts, and I'll even send you the links to the GPT chats so you can get started. Okay. Now, what I did is I actually downloaded this video, and if you don't know how to do that, go find out on, you can either download if you have the professional YouTube version or go on to Google or ask ChatGPT, it'll tell you. And I put this into Fireflies, which is a program that I use to record my meetings. But the cool thing is it also can upload audio. So I've uploaded live meetings that I record on my iPhone, right? And in this case, I actually uploaded this YouTube video and it gives me this transcript. So now what I can do is at the bottom here, which I'm having trouble seeing because of course my board is there, cool. I can go download and I can download the transcript. Now, I actually already downloaded this transcript onto my desktop, so I wouldn't have to, do with that here. So now I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to create a brand new screen, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to turn this into a training. Now, I actually wrote out a prompt beforehand just to make it easier for myself, although we could do it in the moment. And so I'm saying attached is a transcript of a video I'd like to turn into a 10-minute training. Can you assume the role of an instructional designer? Propose the learning objectives, including terminal and enabling objectives. I'm an old school ISD guy, right? And propose an outline with timing of a training program I could create. I'm going to go to attach here. I am going to attach the transcript I downloaded. And again, there's a million ways to get a transcript. I'm showing you one. And I'm going to press enter. And by the way, this is just basic ChatGPT 4. So if you have an internal version, that's great. If you're using the external version, etc., that's great. And this is a public YouTube video, so I'm not worried about sending something out. Now, what's cool is in the newest version of ChatGPT, it's actually going to read the document. It can create images, and it can also create programs. So what it's doing is it's actually creating a program, reading that whole thing, and now it's going to create my learning objectives for me. So here are my terminal objectives. We're seeing, again, I'm flying without a net here. So we're seeing how it's doing. And it's starting to write through this training program outline for me. Looks decent. Now, as we're going through this, one thing I want to point out is you don't have to stop when it gives you this feedback. I want you to pretend like, again, this is an intern, or this is your junior developer, or whatever term you want to use. I like to think of it as an actor I'm directing, right? And I'm going to give it feedback on what I liked and didn't like. So this is good, but you know what? This isn't giving me enough information. Like, I can't take this and just turn into a training. So I'm going to say, this is good, but I need more detail throughout the outline. Could you, let's see, provide more depth with each bullet point? And could you provide an estimated, let's say, timestamp of where I could find that information in the original video? So I figure, hey, it'll give me the timestamp, then I can take that part of the video out. It'll give me some more information. Let's see what it does. So now it's reading that document again. Let's see how it comes out with us. See if it does what I wanted it to do. Cool. So now it's saying, hey, here's the timestamp, right? Because in that, I had the timestamp. It's giving me more information. And I could probably take these, go through all those times, pull out those parts of the video or have an editor do it for me, put those together into this. And we can keep building on this, by the way, which is something I'm going to do, but I'm going to use some other tools to do it. So look at that already. Boom. And just because I maybe want to just show you a couple other things here. I'll say, this is great. Could you produce an image that I could use as the marketing, I don't know, the marketing image for this e-learning program? And guess what? It's going to create an image. Did you know it can do that just from ChatGPT? I'm sure my advanced and intermediates did, but for some of the beginners out there, maybe you're going, oh my gosh, that's nuts, right? And let's see what image it came up with. By the way, I love that I'm just sort of throwing this out here, and if it did something completely wrong, that would really be embarrassing for me. But let's see what it came up with. Cool, here's a marketing image I can use. It's telling me why it's using it. And I might say, I don't like that. Can you try something different? Or, hey, can you change that or do whatever? But notice how already in minutes, I've taken a video, which could have been from your SME, screen recording themselves. It's giving me the timestamps. It's giving me an outline. And I've had it give me an image. Pretty cool stuff in just minutes that we've done. But let's keep going. I like to, I've shown you fireflies. Let's see if we can show you a couple other things. So here we go. There's a video. I'm going to try pulling it up. Let's see where it is. It is from the OpenAI. I don't know if you guys saw it. You totally should. Here's the OpenAI had a sort of open dev day, OpenAI. This was before all the drama at OpenAI. And it's basically all the cool features they were putting out. And what I want to do with this is I actually just want to take this video and I just want to create let's say that I already did the other stuff, right? I'm going to create the outline, but now I want to create an assessment from it. And I'm actually going to use another tool to do this. It's a tool that I've actually found is pretty useful. So it's called Kindo. What I like about Kindo, it's not that it can do anything GPT can't. It's free as well, but I can create workflows. So I can create my own workflows that do things automatically for me. So here's what I've created a workflow to do. And by the way, I can share this workflow with you. You can share this with other folks in your organization. Go look at Kindo. It's pretty cool what they can do. So I'm going to I'm going to have the audio transcribed from the video. I'm going to have that output summarized. And then I'm going to have it create assessment questions based on the content. And the way I've done this is I've actually said, hey, I'm going to give you a number of questions. You're going to do a certain number as true and false. You're going to do a certain number as multiple choice. And the rest of them, I want you to do open answer. So I went ahead and upload the video, but I'll go ahead and show you how easy that is. Right, here's the video. I'm going to type in, I want, let's say 3 true false questions. Let's say I want 10 questions in total. And let's say I want 3 multiple choice questions, which would mean there's going to be 4 open source questions. I'm going to hit run workflow. And this is going to take a while just because it's going to have to transcribe the audio from the video. So I might actually jump past this, but it's looking at that transcription. It's going to create an entire transcription. It's then going to output a summary of that transcription. And then it's going to create an assessment, and we're going to do something with that assessment right afterwards. While that's happening, actually, instead of me jumping like I'm on a cooking show and just pulling a fake one out of the oven, let's actually let this run so you can see I'm not kidding you. And Avery, I'm curious, I saw a Q&A come up. I see like 50 things on the chat. Is there anything coming up that I can respond to while we're waiting here?
Absolutely. Lots of questions, lots of conversation. Here's one. Are all of the sites you're using free?
So the ChatGPT version. So first of all, Fireflies has a free version. Kindo has a free version. Actually, this is the free version of Kindo. So everything I'm doing, yes, it comes in a free version. For ChatGPT, I am paying for the pro version, which is $20 a month. I highly recommend you do that just because it is worth it and you'll use it enough. But if you don't want to put out any money, yes, all of it's free. You lose some of the feature sets, but it's all free. And you could go play with it right now for free.
Awesome. We have a question in the Q&A from Crystal. Do you have to worry about proprietary stuff that you upload on ChatGPT? And also assuming that picture created isn't copyrighted?
Yeah, so two very good questions, right? One is proprietary information, confidentiality, and the other is copyright of the image. So the second one, I believe that was addressed by OpenAI, who I think said that there's no copyright sort of, they do not retain a copyright on that image, right? Now, whether or not it's pulling from some other image out in the world and you're infringing on a copyright there, I think they protect against that. I would check their privacy statement, right? So that's something I would do. Do you own the copyright specifically? I'm not sure about that. I would talk to a lawyer, probably not. However, I don't think that you're having to pay royalties on it. I think you own the right to use it. The second question of is proprietary information you're putting out there, going out to the world. On the general version of ChatGPT, when you're doing chat, it is. If you start using the API, which is basically using GPT on the back end, right? And we're not going to talk about that so much, but it is something you can do, is basically do all of this through your own UX or through your own system. None of that information is going up to training the system. So it is private. You'd still want your security folks and your legal folks to like okay it. So I would be careful as you're playing with this doing that, right? But it's going to be fine as far as that goes. And I'll show you something else in a bit where you can actually use a checkbox. And this is in the interface online at ChatGPT, where it's not interfering at all. So that'll help you out there. Okay, so really quickly, just want to show you it. And again, this is kind of a cool why I like this. It took it, it transcribed it, right? It's created a training outline. And here are the questions. And now I'm actually going to take these questions and let's do something with them. So let's go into ChatGPT. I'm going to start a new ChatGPT window there. And actually, I'm going to paste these in here. Okay. And then, I'd love for GPT to actually like run this quiz for me. Like, why can't it do the quiz and then somehow output this into something I could put into an LRS? And again, we're doing this manually, but with some programming, this is totally something you could do. And I'll show you how maybe if you don't know how to do that, you could figure it out. So I've created a prompt here. Below is a list of questions and answers, giving it very explicit instructions on how I want it to do this. Ask these questions one by one. Ask me for my answer. If the question is not below, don't ask it. This is because I don't want it doing stuff, right? And this was me, by the way, before this, going through, doing this exercise a few times, giving it feedback, asking it to rewrite the prompt for me. And then I'm going to say, hey, at the end, you're going to give an answer. For open-ended questions, they don't have to give you the answer word for word, right? You can use a rubric. And then I want you to export this into a JSON, which is something I could put into an LRS or a learning record store. Now, again, if I was writing this into a program, I could have all this do it, have it automatically authenticate, go into the LRS. But I'm showing you how we could do something very manually and very easily. And then I pasted all of those questions. Let's press enter. Let's see how it does on running this quiz for me. All right, what is GPT's main capability? Oh man, I'm probably gonna get issues. So I think it's C. Here's question 2. GPT-4 Turbo is slower, but improved from 4. Nope, I think that's false because it should be faster. All right, where are some of the improvements in function handling? Oh man, it's faster, quicker. I don't know, more correct. And now it's asking me all this stuff. And by the way, if I read this video, if I'd watched the video right fully, or I went through the training, I'd have this. I'm going to go ahead and actually tell it, hey, let's stop the quiz and please give me my grid and feedback so far. Awesome. That's good. I like that. Now, again, if this wasn't true or I didn't like the way it was providing me feedback, I could alter that prompt. And now I'm going to say, can you export this into a JSON? I could put into an LRS. And now it's going to look at that, and hopefully it's going to produce that into a JSON, which is a file format if you're really into Articulate or Storyline or Lectora, which is our preferred, right? Then this would be something you could upload or output into. And again, I'm showing you how to do this on the chat function, but these are things that you can do actually into Storyline or into Lectora. In fact, once this is done, let's see if we can, since, I'm not much of a programmer, but I do know with ChatGPT, English, or your language of choice, is the new programming language. So first of all, it's going to say, I assume, oh, it's working, trying to get me that JSON. So it's taking a little longer. But because it's the new programming language, I can ask it, here we go, there's that JSON. Now that's great, but you know what, like we were talking about, I don't want them to do this in here. I want to figure out how do I implement this sort of thing into Storyline or into Lectora, or into my content development platform of choice. So let's go ahead and say, hey, this is great. I'd love to implement this sort of assessment into an authoring tool like Lectora or Storyline directly. Can you walk me through step by step how I do that? And can you write any code I'd need to write? And again, I'm just talking to it regularly. I'm not taking like time to think about the perfect prompt. And so hopefully now it's going to go over these. And there we go, start a new project. Now, again, I haven't told it anything about Lectora, right? But it's going through step by step how I would do this. And it says I can't write this script for me. I would actually go back and we're going to say, hey, can you try to write a script that would be in JSON format or do this? So I've seen it do that. And again, this is me playing without a net here. So let's take this one actually. And I don't like that answer because I don't like the fact that it's telling me it can't do it. So I'm going to say, hey, can you become a JavaScript developer who knows coding? And could you write a code that I could put into number 4 above? And let's see what it does. Now notice, originally it said it can't do that. Now it's going to go ahead and write this. I don't know anything about JavaScript, I'll be honest. But 2 things just happened. One is I got it to write some JavaScript for me. And again, I'm going to iterate on this. So I'm going to put it in. It's probably not going to work. I'll ask it more questions, right? But the other thing I just did is I learned a little bit more about how to write JavaScript. And I learned a little bit more about how to put variables into Storyline or into Lectora. So just keep in mind like how this tool is so powerful, and it helps you rethink how you're doing stuff. All right. And it's still writing this crazy long function for me, right? And letting me do this where theoretically I could go in and this would create that dynamic Q&A for me. Or not Q&A, sorry, quiz for me. Now I'm actually going to pause this for a second because I don't, and now it's telling me how to integrate it. That's cool. So now it's telling me how to do it. It's going to say test and debugging. If this was me, I would say, hey, could you help me work some error correction in here and some testing and debugging? I'm going to go over here to something. This is a new feature that ChatGPT rolled out, and I'll show you how to use it in a second. But you can create your own custom-made sort of GPTs, right? So on the back end, I've actually worked with this already. I've put some stuff into it. I've told it how I want it to do something. And I created one that's going to create learner personas for me. And what I actually created is I said, hey, I'm going to give you some basic information. I want you to create learner personas for me I want you to create an image of those learner personas, and then I want you to print all of those into a PDF for me so I can give them to someone to review. So I'm going to hit let's get started. And it's going to say, cool, I need some information. What type of learning program are you focused on? And can you tell me like what industry you're in? Now, I just told it to ask these questions. I didn't tell it to ask a bunch of questions. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, this is a program to teach people about AI for a company that sells, I don't know, software to manufacturing firms. I'm attaching some polls I took, tell you more information about the audience. And I'm just going to go ahead and, you recall earlier, you did some polls. These might not be the best images, but let's see. And I'm just going to go ahead and attach the polls we took. I took these screenshots while y'all were giving them in. And so let's see how it does. Obviously, it captured some of the extra information. So let's see how it works. So Julian, the Curious Novice, it's creating some demographic details. It's creating a learning preference and styles, although we could say maybe those don't exist, but whatever. It's giving me some organizational factors, some context. And again, I provided it almost no information, but it's doing all this because I told it to previously. It's writing it out into a narrative. And I'm actually going to have it ask me for feedback afterwards. By the way, if you want this learner persona generator afterwards, I don't know if they've released the feature yet, but pretty soon I'll be able to share these links with you. So as long as you reach out afterwards, I can give you, for instance, this exact thing. And I know we at ELB are working on putting it into our product. Although I can't say when that's going to happen, so don't hold me to that. Now, just imagine, again, is this perfect? No. Might it need feedback? Yes. But what the cool thing is I'm not having to spend hours create a persona. I mean, this would have taken me hours previously, right? And it's doing it all for me automatically. Again, we've only been on this webinar for 30 minutes so far. And look at all this information I've gotten. I've gotten quizzes. I've gotten web pages, training. I've gotten personas. I created an entire game. Here it's going to go ahead and create an image for me. And by the way, I don't think I'm going to have time to do it. I was going to share it, but I wanted to show you how I went back and forth and created this prompt. I'll try to actually bring it up real quickly after it gives me this image. And there you go. Boom. I have a persona. I have information. And when I get to the end of this, it'll actually go ahead and print this into a PDF for me. And by the way, it's asking me for feedback. If I said go on, it'll go on. But we only have a limited amount of time, and I promised that I would try to show you 10 things. So I'm trying to get through all of them here. Let me go ahead and see if I can find the one I was talking about. Okay, so just to show you like how I created this, I just wanted to show you, because it was a master prompt. This was how I started, by the way. Could you help me develop a master prompt for a GPT focused on creating learning personas? That was all I started with. I didn't start with some crazy prompt. I didn't pay someone for prompt engineering. I didn't go out and get a whole document about how to do it. I asked it one question. It gave me some stuff. It gave me a prompt. And then I said, hey, let's adjust that. Can you look at it from the perspective of a chief learning officer, a head of learning, and an instructional designer, right? And can you provide me feedback and then integrate that feedback to make it more powerful? And it takes on those roles, looks at my prompt, and creates a master prompt. And then I kept going, right? And so it kept creating stuff for me. And I'll share this with you so you can see the process, but I wanted to show you prompt engineering is not hard. Have the AI do it for you. And actually, we did something earlier. Let's see if we can if we can look. So remember when we created this program right here, enhanced training program outline? Well, I'm not sure if actually this is going to work for my personas. Now, sometimes you need to get QA, you need to get feedback. And generally I would take this program, right, and I would print it off and I would send it over to some people to review. And then they might give me broad strokes. I want to make sure I'm getting detailed strokes when I do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to say, can you please review this proposed training program as though, or actually, can you please review this as though you are a CLO, the CEO, and the head of AI at my company? Can you also look at the attached learner personas and tell me where each person might struggle or what adjustments I might need to make to the training for each of them. I'm now going to find the personas. Now, I previously to this created some personas, had them printed off into a document using my persona generator. I'm going to hit open. And now I'm getting this training program to be reviewed by the CLO, the CEO, and the head of AI. And by the way, if you wanted to provide LinkedIn profiles or something, it'll do it even more, right? And I'm giving it those learning personas. And notice how it's going to go through, it's going to give me all these concerns, it's going to give me the strengths, it's going to give me recommendations. And then we're going to take it one step further after this. So when we get to the end here, I'll show you how they're going to take this and we're going to say, great, can you implement all these changes for me? And look at this. I just think sometimes this is incredible, right? Here were the personas that I created. Here are the struggles. Here are the adjustments. And I know we're coming at time here, Avery. I'm trying to get through everything like I promised. And I'm going to say, cool, can you revise the training above using this feedback? So now it's going to revise this. And what's cool now is if I did this, let's say 5 times with different people, different roles, notice how it's going to give me something that's so much more useful, right? I don't even have to it's going to be so much more useful for me that I'm going to get better feedback when I move forward. And again, I'm doing this in minutes, not in hours. I'm not having to wait on schedules. I'm not having to deal with all of that. So anyway, pretty cool stuff. And one more thing I want to do with this actually is I want it to create a storyline for me, right? Or rather a storyboard, right? So this is great, but I don't know. I need to hand this over to an e-learning professional. So I need to hand over a storyboard to an e-learning developer. Can you please create one in PowerPoint with each section on one slide containing voiceover, what images should be included, what animations should be there, and produce it into a PowerPoint, download, and hand off. So now I'm taking that training. It's going to look at it. I've gotten feedback on the training. And now it's going to take all that. It's going to pop it into a PowerPoint for me that I could download and hand over to my developer. And we'll take a look at it when it's finished analyzing. Until then, and because I realize we're running short on time and I want to get some of the questions answered and do a couple more things, Avery, what other questions, comments, concerns have come up that I can address so that way I can still squeeze some more in here.
Awesome. Yes. So Barbara had a question earlier about translating a course from English to another language, such as Spanish, and some other attendees had some good insight, but I thought maybe you could provide some additional feedback.
Yep, it'll do it. And it does it better than in our experience, it does it better than some of the other stuff that's out there. So if when we're done here and this finishes, I can type in, great, can you translate this all into Spanish? And then I grew up in Houston, Texas, so I know some Spanish, but it's not that great. So let's say, oh, by the way, here's the PowerPoint storyline. We can open that later. Let's say, can you produce this training outline in Spanish? And I'm going to butcher this. Sorry, I can't spell. Portuguese. There we go. Let's do that. So I can somewhat understand Spanish, but there you go. And if you wanted to give it an entire transcript, it would do that. And if you wanted to say, here's a transcript, can you now output that into an SRT or some format that I can put into a video or into my program? There you go. So answer is yes, it can do it. And again, you're not paying a translation service. If it was me, what I would then do is say, can you please take this translation? Can you reverse translate it? Can you note where it screwed up? And can you retranslate it? Right? And I would have it do its own iterative process of feedback. So Avery, I see we have 4 questions and 5, 6 now. Yeah. So I want to make sure I do a couple more things. So let's try to get him out.
All right. So Karen's asking about bias. So we know that Gen AI is biased due to the bias inherent in the data. How do you validate what's providing you?
Yeah. So what I would do is do this sort of what I'm doing right now, which is sort of saying, can you look at this from the perspective of, and tell the GPT or tell the AI to take on a role. So for instance, you can say to it, it gives you something and you can say, assume you are, and put a persona or some sort of guidelines, right? You are a DEI leader at an organization and you were looking through this information. Can you please check it and tell me where there might be areas of bias? And then it will go through and it'll do that. And then I would say, cool, can you now recreate what you've done previously with that feedback in mind? And so if you do that 5 times, right? Or eventually what you do is instead of doing it 5 times, you figure out how to work that into your original prompt so it does it automatically, right? So that's how I would answer that. That being said, it's still something we're dealing with, right? Information in, it is a reflection of us and it's going to have some biases. It might make stuff up. And so what you need to do as someone who is working with it, and since it is co-generative AI, it works with you, you need to challenge it. And sometimes I'll do that. Like I'll say, are you sure? Is there anything else I should do? What else am I missing? And it will challenge itself, just like that one time where it did something it said, I can't program this for you. And I said, are you sure? Why don't you try programming? And it programmed. So that's how I would answer that, Avery.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you want to take another question? Or
let me just go to this, which is perfect. Similarly, I've created this other GPT, and this is a training intake agent. So I think some of y'all might have issues where your business leader is maybe asking you to create a training, and you really want to make sure you understand the business needs, right? Almost like if we were in sales, you'd want to do discovery. And so I want to show you how great AI is at having that dynamic conversation. So I created one of these for ELB, our internal L&D department, so that we had something instead of a form, right? Or instead of something that goes into our Asana board or Mural or whatever, I wanted to create an AI bot or an agent or a GPT, whatever term you want to use, that would have this discussion for me and have a back and forth discussion as though it was a person. And so, look, this is saying, I'm Ellie, I'm a learning strategist. I'm going to help you achieve your business objectives. I need 15 to 30 minutes of your time. Can I ask for your name, role, and where you work? And I'll say, I'm Josh. I work in the AI strategy department. Great. And now it's going to start asking me questions. And what I want to point out here is like how good of a job it does at actually doing discovery. My primary objective is to get our folks to use AI more efficiently. Since at the moment, they are still novices. What I just love is now it's going to delve deeper. Like, how many times do we not do this? And so it's actually saying, hey, can you tell me what the current knowledge is? It might even ask questions later on. I'm not going to keep going through it. What metrics are you going to use to determine if you did it well? And it's going to go through all of these over and over and over again until it has the stuff. And at the end, it's actually going to create a PDF. In this version, you download it. In the agent version we created using the API, so using a little bit of programming that, by the way, I asked AI to help me make, it actually sends an email off to our department. So then we get the email in our inbox, it has all the information, and then we can schedule a meeting with them. One other thing I want to show before I leave this part, and I realize we're running on time. There's a product called Harpa. It's free. It's a Chrome extension. And why I love it, and I'll just open this up right here. I have this same video here, but it actually will let you on any page go and do a million things. I'm going to use it for something very simple, which is, can you summarize this video? I'm going to say I want a shorter summary. It's going to parse the video right here on the page. I don't have to copy anything. I don't have to download anything. And it's going to give all this to me. And then what's really cool about this is it's actually connected to my ChatGPT instance. So when I go back to ChatGPT, it'll actually appear as a chat. Over here, we'll see if I can get it to show that. So let's start again. Let's see if I can. And maybe it hasn't appeared yet. Yeah, there it is. So right here in ChatGPT now, it has that entire transcript and the summary. And now I can go in here and I can go, cool, could you create an assessment from this, for instance? All right, I know we have 7 minutes left. I'm not sure I got through everything. So let me check myself here. Let me share this screen again and see what we did here, how many of these I got through. All right, we did some intake and discovery. We had it recommend a training approach. We had it, we figured out how we could take like SME input from a video. By the way, you could create a bot that will talk to your SMEs. We created learning personas. We had it draft outlines. We had it create assessments. We had it create a storyboard, right? We had it give feedback by doing a sort of iterative process and asking it to look at the personas. We even had it do some delivery, and we had it tell us how to, how we could put like giving an assessment into our course. There's one other thing I have to do, which is, I have this image here. I wonder, could we just take this? Could we have AI do this entire process for us? Like, that would be really cool. And I'm just going to start it because I know we don't have enough time, but I want to show you in the pro version. If I go up here to explore, I can create my own GPT. And here's the coolest thing is you don't even need to know how to program or how to write prompts. What would I like to make? I'd like to make a GPT that does the following workflow for me. Let's go ahead and grab that screenshot. And what it's going to start to do is actually create one of those, like I created that persona bot, right? I created that back and forth dialogue. It's actually going to start creating this actual bot for me. I can practice with it on the right. And then I need to give it feedback. Hey, it didn't do what you wanted. I want it to do it. I'll go to the left and I'll ask it and tell it more information and talk to it like a bot, and it'll create this. By the way, you can save these, right? And you can make these public at some point. There'll be a GPT store, but you can also get a link and share it with other people. And it's asking me, what name do you want to call it? Can I create an image, et cetera, et cetera? So pretty cool stuff. And I realize we have 4 more minutes for questions. So I want to go through those questions. And then I have one more quick thing, Avery, I need to do at the end in order to really close this up. So Avery, hit it with your questions.
All right. Yeah, we got lots coming through. One, which I think was already answered, but the plugin that you were using in Chrome, was that Harpa AI,
Yep,
correct?
I see it. I see it over on the right.
Okay, great. All right. So, um, let's see. The downloading that you were able to generate, is that because you were on Chat GPT 4?
So the new ChatGPT 4, and it might be Pro. I don't have the not Pro version, so I actually don't know. But the new ChatGPT 4 version will let you do all of that. So it actually doesn't have to switch back and forth. You tell it what you want it to do. It'll create documents for you. It'll create images, and all in the same chat window. You might need the Pro version to do that, which again, for $20 a month, as you can see, I think is well worth it.
Absolutely. Um, okay, here was one from Nancy before. Does AI do a business case? So one, I want to hire a trainer, and my boss said I have to create a business case to prove that I need a trainer. And two, build a business case and if it is worth creating an e-learning or having class.
Can you say AI could create the business case for you? Absolutely. Tell it all that. And then I would say, hey, I would actually get the LinkedIn of my boss. And I would say, here's my boss. Can you help me figure out what they're good? If you have a transcript that you can share, I would take that transcript that I had with my boss. I would share that and say, can you optimize this so it's something that I can use? By the way, someone's telling me Chat GPT upgrades are paused. There's a wait list. Get on the wait list. Didn't know that. Obviously, there's a lot going on there. Also, by the way, Anthropic put out Claude 2. Claude 2, which is a competitor to ChatGPT, also will do almost all of this. I don't think it has DALL-E, but you can upload, and it does a lot of the same stuff. It's free, and it's one you might want to check out as well.
It looks like, so Tina here is asking, can you show us the storyboard? Do we have time to see the storyboard that AI created?
I have 2 minutes, so I'll tell you what, if you reach out to me, I will share it with you.
Perfect.
I guarantee it wasn't perfect, right? And maybe if we have 1 second and we can stay on late, I'm happy to do that. But yes, reach out to me. I think Jen will get you an email. Find me on LinkedIn. I will pop my email in right now to everyone. There we go. Let me make sure it's on everyone. There you go. Okay. And I know we have times, not a lot of time. If I could just start something, Avery, and then you can cut me
Absolutely.
off. Okay. So here's the thing. I didn't get to the part about like what should you not do necessarily as an e-learning person. I didn't even get to it in the PowerPoint. I didn't get time to write it. I'm going to have AI do it for me. I have the ChatGPT app right here. Hey, I'm doing a presentation right now on AI in L&D, and I'm curious if you can share some of the things L&D professionals should not do when using ChatGPT to create e-learning content.
Sure. When using AI like ChatGPT for creating e-learning content in learning and development L&D, there are several key things to avoid. One, over-reliance. Don't rely solely on AI for content creation. It's crucial to supplement AI-generated content with.
I'm not going to let it go on because I know we don't have time, but I just want to point out that's from the app. It will talk to you, and it does talk back. There you go. Avery, sorry.
Awesome. Well, Josh, this has been super amazing. I mean, tons of kudos in the chat. So I'm going to wrap us up for the day with some closing slides. All right. So I would like to invite you all for some upcoming training industry webinars this month. You can register for these programs and watch past webinars now at www.trainingindustry.com. All training industry webinars, including this one, are pre-qualified for a credit hour, SHRM, HRCI, ISPI, and CPTM. And this webinar is recorded, and we will be sending out an email afterwards with a link to view the recording. What is CPTM? It is the Certified Professional and Training Management Program that assists you in developing core competencies that will empower you to manage the future training needs of your organization. You can participate in a virtual practicum from anywhere in the world. Find out more information at trainingindustry.com/training. And I would love to meet all of you in person here in Raleigh, North Carolina for the 2024 Training Industry Conference and Expo. TICE is where learning leaders like you gather to forge new professional connections, learn from each other, and address their most pressing learning challenges. Re-energize your learning initiatives at TICE 2024 next June. Advanced early bird registration is now open through the end of December. Learn more at TICE2024.com. And one last reminder that an evaluation survey should have popped open in another tab in your browser, and we would greatly welcome your feedback. Thank you again to today's speaker, Josh Penzel, and our sponsor, ELB Learning. And thank you all for your time and attention. From Training Industry, I'm Avery, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.